So anyways, right, just talking about, just summing it up is that purpose, vision, and mission, that was so imperative for me because so often that if we don't know exactly what we're here to do, at least for the time, I think, I think that the purpose, can evolve. I'm seeing that I think that the vision obviously is a vision for something specific, and the vision needs to be able to be malleable and to be able to change. And definitely the mission, how you're going to attack it always has to be malleable. But the purpose is essentially, I believe Dr. Miles Monroe said, it's like how you show up in every single place where you go. And so I was like, yo, this is how I show up in every single place. I'm always like looking to help somebody be better at whatever it is that they're doing, even if it's music production, even if it's executive, like producing some music, if an artist is dealing with some sort of imposter syndrome, I'm always like, yo, like you're way better than that. Like, don't do that for this price. Do that for this price because you're way better than that. And so understanding that my purpose is to my name is Matty. It's the short and Americanized version, but the name is Matit Yahu, and it's Hebrew for gift from Yah. That's the name of our God. His name is Yah. And so it means gift from Yah. And so when I'm leading like that, that's what, my parents gave me that name. They gave me the English version, but my parents gave me that name and I lead with that, right? That's why naming is so important. I believe that the name that you have, there's some African traditions which are, they name people something like, again, let's say your name is Peace, and so whenever you're being called is Peace. Stop, sit down, Peace. Do that, Peace. And so it's reminding you and just speaking that affirmation of your life. You were designed to be bringing peace, and you need to be doing that. So that's names are extremely important, I see, because it's a way to speak an affirmation over somebody on a consistent basis. I don't know if I don't know if that's what you were like kind of working towards, but that's a little bit about what happened during that time, that pivot, that shift.
Okay, no, that's really good.
Yeah.
Just because so many people
Okay.
can see, even myself, can see myself in that and kind of trying to figure out, for one, I just recently took the DIS assessment. I knew a few other things about myself, but then that kind of solidified, like, oh yeah, like I do that, like that. It kind of helps you. And I'm always looking for resources that hold the mirror up to me, because I'm
Right.
self-aware, and sometimes we can be self-aware of, that it's a picture, but we can't see the frame. So we just
Right.
think like, no, I'm up here, I'm Picasso, but you, like,
Right.
nah.
Right.
Like,
Right.
so I'm constantly trying to, like, I think that's a fear that I have, actually, is like, how am I coming off? Was that too aggressive? Like, should I
Right.
say it softer? Just whatever it is. So having things like the Enneagram, I have a book about it somewhere, but that's a really good test to understanding yourself in relationships. This book right here.
The Enneagram. Okay.
Understanding
Yeah.
yourself in relationships, how you act in relationships, what you need. I feel like a lot of
That before you actually started doing what you were doing on a health wise and things like that, Victoria, you were like, I am becoming, right? You know what I'm saying? And I need you to talk about that, because it's like, it's this moment where everybody has, they're like, before I'm a millionaire, before I'm actually tangibly have that money in my bank account or whatever like that, I have to become that person who is on the journey to getting there, And I think that, like, sometimes people don't want to do the work that's involved. And sometimes we're not we are not mindful that we've already started that journey. And so we beat ourselves up and we're like, yo, I'm not there. Like, I'm not there yet. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. But we beat ourselves up. And it's like, yo, you are already becoming. You know, so that's another side of this mental sparring that we got going on. So I listen to affirmations. I think that's what we're talking about. I listen to affirmations all the time to make sure that my ground, make sure that my brain is the ground is fertile, you know, so that really good, I can grow really good, you know, crops, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And things like that. So
have
anyways.
you ever noticed, I always use like I don't know what it's called, like a little weave and then a flower. Like, because we're planting seeds and we don't think about, or sometimes we're not conscious of the fact that the media around us is a seed. The people that we got around us, whether they talking peacefully or they yelling to their kids, that's a seed. Like, the music we listen to is a seed. Just the places, all these things are seeds. So you listen to affirmations. Let me see. Okay, let me go back. So I want to get to a place where I am peace. Like I say, peace and healing, because I used to live in this little house, and it wasn't little, it was in North Carolina. So the house is kind of big, but it was a little house right in Greensboro, and it was beautiful, but it was infested with rats. Okay. And I didn't know. It had a slim landlord. I got in there, I painted, I cleaned up. I was like, oh yeah, I could do this. It hit winter.
Them rats came right on in. They came right on in. That's what. Listen, I got 2 cats because we had another slumlord somewhere, and yeah.
They like, woo. That's why we got to get out there so that we can give what we want to receive. But so I had this slumlord. He I ended up calling the county. They come out, do an inspection. There's 27 violations on this house. They like, yeah, well, if y'all don't do something in 90 days, we're gonna tear it down. Like, it's that bad. It's that bad.
Right.
I just made a house a home, so it didn't feel that bad to me. Like, but people, all my friends would be like, they would come to the stoop. They turned into the stoop friends. They would come to the stoop and they would be like, no, you good? All right, well, I'll see you. Like, they was not coming anyway. Like, so I had to find peace. The rats went in, I moved out. I drove my Impala into the backyard, and every day, all day long, I would sit in my car. And I think that's where I get that having devotion all day, because the other side of the story is I got injured at the post office. So I'm out with a knee injury for 8 months. So I don't got nothing to do. It's kind of like what you said. Once
they gave you workers' comp though, right?
It took 6 months. Like, I had to get another job. I started working online on.
It took 6 months to get the workers' comp
because y'all playing with my money.
What? See, digressing from that, really quick insert is that I have to just talk about this really quickly. Is that, guys, right now, oh shoot, the mental work, whatever it is that needs to happen, like, this country pays people for entrepreneurial shit, right? This country pays people for getting out there and doing something, because again, I am not crapping on jobs. I understand that jobs are the investor, right? It's a different way of thinking about it, right? Jobs are the investor. They're the investor in your business, but we cannot rely on them, because anytime you get hurt or any of that type of stuff, you might be out for 6 months with a knee injury, out for 8 months with a knee injury, and you don't get paid for 6 months. That's crazy.
Yes. Okay. But I always, I fall short to the victim mindset too, but I do well under pressure. So under pressure, I got the slumlord. I had dogs at that time. I had 4 dogs. So it was no way I wasn't going to keep waiting on them. I just, I don't know if I was supposed to have another job or not on workers' comp, but I went and got a job that I could do sitting at the desk. They wouldn't give me desk work. They could have easily brought me into the office and had me doing something at the desk. They didn't. So I had to make do with that. But in those times is when I started to find self. I started to meditate. I don't know what made me start meditating. It never sounded like something I wanted to do. Oh, are you frozen? What is that?
Victoria's
Yes, can you hear
spicy.
me? I'm just going. Can you hear me now?
This is
Can you hear me now?
wild because we had a whole talking meeting
Yes, that was
prior
fine.
to. Okay, there you go. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
This is wild. All right. So the last part that I kind of heard you saying is that because I had my dogs and they could have had me at least working at a desk, but they didn't.
Yeah, I could have did something in the post office, a desk job. I was a carrier, but like I'm versatile. Like you can put me anywhere, but instead I had to wait and wait and wait. So I got another job, and I'm not sure if I was supposed to get another job, but I went and got me an online job. I got an online job because I couldn't just sit in the victim state.
Right.
I had to do something, but that in that moment of like being home all the time, I started to find myself. I started to meditate. I never was the person to hear meditate and think, oh yeah, they're talking to me. Like, no, no, they're not. But I started meditating, like just sitting in my car, and I would have a journal, and I would just kind of zone out. Like just I would quiet my mind. I would use the Calm app, and then I would go into like things like just journaling. Like I would think about one word and I would journal on it, or like I would write something like something I had to work through during that time was mother. Me and my mother were estranged. We didn't talk at all. So I just would write that, and I would meditate on things that I felt. I would just write pages and pages and pages and pages to release that and do all this release work. That is what kind of like you talk about the gut to mind. I had to do all this release work. So I was eating different. I had been plant-based. I go in and out. When I go to a different environment, that was my issue, going to a different environment and then eating meat again. But being in that space in North Carolina, all of those rats, my point is all of the rats, they made me have to look at self and then realize that the peace is always in me. Like wherever I am, I can be peaceful. So it doesn't matter what's going on outside of me. I have a shield, a bubble. I try to move like I have a bubble. Like, okay, if you're doing something, all right. I don't want the bubble to be so thick though that nobody can tell me anything about myself. Like I don't want to feel like, no, I'm good. Like I want it to be like a window or something, but definitely
Did you
something
say?
that I invite.
Can I hear what you say? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I need to invite that in. I don't want you don't just pour on me or dump on me. Now these are things that I had to learn about myself. I had to go through breaking down, feeling lonely, feeling like, okay, I just want to be great. I just got to figure out how to do something. And I went through the phase of I watched everything at that time that I wanted to watch on Netflix. There was nothing else. Like I had emptied out Netflix, my watch list. So it was just me at this time. It was just focusing on me. And that is, I think, what started the becoming for me. And then it took years because first the becoming was internal. So you may not have seen it, but mentally I had to get stronger. Mentally, I had to know I was worth it. Mentally, I had to tell myself, that I'm worth these things, or that I should try this thing, or that I should try this thing again because I've tried it before, it didn't go well, or whatever the case may be. I had to work on that mentally. I did that until I started that in 2017. In 2019, I like randomly moved to Atlanta. I was driving there and
Good to go. I think you're good to go. Yeah. But
No, I
anyways,
just wanted
so
to.
yeah, I'm looking at the time though. We got about gosh, I'm just looking at yeah. So I wanted to ask you a question.
Mhm.
Do you think that because again, it's like it's for melanated, this podcast is for melanated people. I think that I think that there's so much that at least to happen in the States. I'm a student of history, and I just know that we weren't having these types. It's be tough, and it's pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and you ain't even got a lace or a boot. And it's difficult to do that. And so when you talked about, you said, I heard that you were estranged from your mother, right?
Mhm.
How did you guys ever end up kind of coming back together, or how did that end up working out?
Over time, over the years, we've been trying to rebuild. It's funny you asked that because I do this thing where I counsel with myself. I record my thoughts, or like I go outside and I really get into it with myself.
I am Matty McCaskill, Coach Matty. Matty the chef when I feel like hopping in a studio. I am dedicated to music creatives having transitions, making transformative leaps in their career and music business as it pertains to that emerging process, the journey that they're on their way to, and creating independence in music producers. You can reach out to me at Matty the Chef DC on IG, on Facebook. I'm not so much on Twitter, but if you want to reach out, that's where you like to be. That's amazing. I have a YouTube page, which is MTC space Music TV, all one word, MTC Music TV, where I post videos. If you really like YouTube a lot better, I post a little bit more long form content on there. I'm always adding stuff that I find amazing that other people would find amazing to playlists and all sorts of things like that. And it's just been a blessing to be here with you, Tori, today and speaking to your audience and just having a little bit of a chat. It's definitely needed. I think that folks from the African diaspora are, really having these pivotal conversations that are dealing with mental health, dealing with mental wellness, and how they can really scale up because millionaires and billionaires commit suicide all the time. So it ain't just about having money. It's about the mental fortitude. And there is a scripture that says, essentially summing it up, is that you need to be able to be content with having a little bit and content with having a lot. And that takes the mental fortitude that I believe that you are working with or helping people on this platform. So shout out to you, Tori, for that. If you guys heard me, hopefully you did. I don't know.
Yes, I got all that. I got all that. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Make sure that you guys subscribe. As always, make sure you do some healing today. Peace and healing. We are out.